Will we see hyperinflation? Watch this video to find out. Alright guys, so welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, my name is Spencer. Super excited to have you. And very excited to talk about today's topic because I'm going to be talking about my concerns for the economy as far as inflation, why I think, quite frankly, the US dollar itself is doomed, and what I'm doing to prepare for this. Now, I want to start off by saying that everything I'm going to be talking in this video, this is not investment advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not here to give you any ideas or opinions. This is strictly for entertainment purposes. But this is what really I'm doing, and if you want to do that, that's completely your choice as well, or you can definitely do your own research and all of that. Now, the other disclaimer I want to say too before we jump into it is, I'm going to be talking about some topics in this video that can get a little bit political, and I know everything now in America is super political, you're right or you're left. Quite frankly, guys, I don't really buy into that. I want to talk about the facts today, and of course this is going to be partly my opinion, but I just want to look at the facts of what's happening, and you can decide whether you agree with it politically or not. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I just want to look at the facts and make a decision based off of that as far as the economy is where I think things might go, right? So let's make that clear. And the first area I want to talk to you guys about, and really the kind of spark that lit this match for me of trying to dig more and more into this, is when the pandemic, when this COVID situation first happened. If you circle back to that, the government, Trump back then, right, President Trump, and the federal government created a stimulus package. And, I didn't really think too much of it. I wasn't really concerned myself. Luckily I'm in a great place to not need any help there. But I know a lot of people did. So I figured, it's a great thing to help people, all that. And then about a month later, I was on the phone with one of my buddies. And he was telling me, he used to work at, and I'm not going to name where he was, but he used to work at a pretty well-known amusement park, right, in our kind of area. And he told me he was making twice as much money from staying at home and not working than he was working, right? And so he was like, yeah, I want this thing to keep going on forever. He's like, I don't want to go back to work, right? I'm making more money than I ever have in my entire life, sitting at home doing nothing, right? And I was like, that's a little weird. Like, that doesn't really make sense. Like, how would you make more money not working than you would working? And then that would cause the people not to want to work, right? It didn't really make any sense with me. And then I kind of forgot about it, and more time went on, and there was this rap song that came out. I don't remember the exact name, but it's getting rich off of EDD, okay? In other words, getting rich off of unemployment. And these guys ran this scam on the government, and they actually probably wouldn't have got caught because I think they filed like $1 million in unemployment claims in like a month or two. And they weren't going to get caught, and then they dropped a rap music video. Shout out to Nuke Bizzle, okay? Song's actually pretty good, to be honest with you. But, starts talking about, oh, they made all this money, and they scammed the government out of $1 million. So I started thinking about, where does that money come from? Where does the $1 million come from? The government, they don't just have infinite money. That's got to come from somewhere. So you're raising taxes, right? Which means I got to pay more in taxes to give these guys $1 million, right? Or they're just printing the money. And then we saw at the end of 2020 how much money has really been printed. I think the stats like 1/3 or 40% of all money in circulation was printed in the year 2020. I mean, that's kind of scary to think about. And then now, you start looking at some of the proposed plans that are on the roadmap to get passed. They're talking about student loan forgiveness, up to $50,000. And I was thinking about that. I said, well, these loans, many of them are written directly from the government. So if they don't have to be paid back, that means that the government is not collecting on that. It's almost like a tax in some way, right? They're not collecting on that. So who's paying for that then? Well, that means either I'm paying for it if they raise taxes, but at this point, I don't think they're going to do that. They're just going to keep printing money because there hasn't been any repercussions, right? And so now they're saying, oh, your first $50,000 student loan, you don't have to pay back. And so that causes people that were going to pay it back to not pay it back. I've seen this personally, right, with friends and family of mine that said, oh, I'm not going to pay it back because I don't have to, right? And it causes people that were originally going to pay for college in cash saying, well, I get $50,000 of college for free. Why would I pay for it in cash? And so this is going to cause a massive, massive, massive increase in student loans, which has all got to be paid off by the government now because they're guaranteeing it, right? And so I think government spending is just going to keep going through the roof. And more importantly, I think government printing of money is going to exponentially increase from here, and it's already done that, right? And so I'm really, really, really concerned about a major, major inflation sentiment. And these are just a couple examples. Another example is our massive trade deficit. Right now we have the biggest trade deficit we've ever had ever as a country. I mean, it's like 660 billion or something crazy like that. I don't know the exact number there, but it's a massive trade deficit. Long story short, it just keeps getting bigger. And this whole idea that, the pandemic, it caused this trade deficit because we have to rely on other countries. Well, the pandemic is a worldwide thing, right? So you would assume every country would have a massive trade deficit then because it's everywhere. But that's not true. There's many countries that benefited from this, that have a massive trade surplus, but still had massive effects from the pandemic. So it's not a pandemic thing, right? You look at the oil industry. The oil industry went down to like negative, $36 a barrel, or somewhere around there, with futures back in, I think it was April or May of last year. And now, it's already back up to $57, and honestly, it'll probably get to $100 this year, right? Because, all those domestic oil and gas companies that were working in here probably lost a ton of money there, and they say, well, I'm not going to reinvest in that domestic market, especially now that we have a president and really just a whole government that is pretty anti-oil and gas. I mean, they're talking about, outlawing gas cars, right? So they're like, well, we don't want to put money in that country, so it's going to cause prices to go even higher there. And so my point is again, I could see us getting into a state where, we are in an inflationary state. And, this whole idea that like we haven't seen inflation yet, the CPI, which stands for the Consumer Price Index, really hasn't gone up that much. But who's measuring the CPI? Well, the government is. And the government, they're the ones printing the money. So of course they're not going to be measuring that properly, right? But more important that, we have seen go up a lot. We've seen stocks go up a lot. Think about it. We're in the middle of the worst pandemic in 100 years. And the stock market dipped for about 6 months, and it's already back to basically where it was at, maybe a little bit less, but right there, right? And we have a way higher unemployment rate. We just talked about we have this trade deficit, so we're not producing anything, but yet the stock market's back to where it was. It doesn't make any sense, right? Housing prices, well, housing prices have stayed artificially high because the interest rates have stayed low, right? So, it's like, I won't, again, share exactly what it is, but a very close associate of mine just put his house on the market for about $699,000, right? Literally, before it was even live on the market, he was getting offers for $715,000, right? $730,000 in the middle of a pandemic. This doesn't make any sense, right? None of this makes any sense. And so all that inflation we've seen go right into these assets. The stock market, crypto is another one. I mean, look at Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's gone from, I think it was like 15,000, 10,000 at the beginning of last year, all the way up to 40, right? I mean, that's craziness. Even Ethereum this year has already gone from $700 to $1,800, not $1,800, but like $1,600, $1,700 as I'm recording this video, right? So it's almost, tripled or doubled at least, right? So my point in saying all this is I am a big believer that we've already seen inflation, and it's eventually going to end up with consumer prices. And so what can you do to help prevent this if this does happen? And really, what am I doing? And maybe you want to do the same thing. Well, first is I'm getting out of the U.S. dollar, not entirely, right? Because you need the U.S. dollar as a means of value, as a means of transaction. But I'm putting a lot of money right now into silver and gold. I'm putting a lot of money, and not a lot of money, but I'm putting some of my money into crypto, all right? And the reason why I'm putting more money into silver and gold is that silver and gold are actual metals that are used in actual industries, right? Crypto, like Bitcoin, specifically Bitcoin, the only thing that affects the price of Bitcoin is the amount of people buying and selling Bitcoin. Like that's literally it. There's no actual use for it, right? And the problem with a lot of these crypto guys, and I'm not anti-crypto. Like I said, I'm investing in crypto, so I'm not anti-crypto. But the problem with a lot of these crypto guys is that they understand that, and they understand that the only way to increase the price of crypto is to get more people to want to buy it, right? And so what they do is they make these YouTube videos telling you to buy crypto. I'm not telling you to buy crypto. I'm telling you what I'm doing, right? I'm not even telling you which ones I'm buying. But the point is a guy on YouTube with 300,000 subs tells you to buy, this coin, this altcoin. He probably owns, 1,000 of them or 2,000 of them. And by the time you buy it, price goes up, he sells, he makes some money, he walks away, right? You can't do that with gold and silver because gold and silver is actually used. Silver is used in every solar panel ever, right? So my point is I would highly, highly, highly recommend if you're watching this video, I'm not super, like the world's going to end. I don't know if we're going to go through hyperinflation or anything crazy like that. But I'm a big believer that we will definitely see inflation, and we might even see stagflation. We might see our U.S. economy, just stagger out and stop growing, but inflation rise dramatically, kind of like a situation similar to the 1970s, if you're familiar with that, when gas and oil prices went up tremendously. Gold went from $35 an ounce to over $800, right? So I think we'll see a situation similar to that. Again, these are all just my opinion. I'm not here to scare you, but hopefully this gives you some insight. And if you have any questions, leave them down below, and I'll try to jump on there and answer them. We're posting one of these videos once a week, so I hope you guys enjoy them. And of course, we'll be posting surplus fund videos as well. So if you want to make some money now to have something to invest in these other assets, you definitely want to look into surplus funds. So with that being said, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you like this video, click the like button. Again, share your thoughts down below, and I'll see you on the next video.